Okay, welcome back to the Kingdom Politics Podcast. Pastor Will and Dr. Michael Huffman, and we're going to talk about gun control measures in Virginia for the second week in a row because apparently this was super popular.
Oh, yeah. People in Virginia like their guns.
Yeah, it's so we're going to dive into these and then probably we'll see how far we get, and we got some other topics as well. Let's do an easy one first because I don't think we have to spend too much time on this one. HB 969. This one comes from the chief patron is Marcia Price, and this is for the development of Virginia Gun Violence Prevention Center. Now, this sounds awesome. It sounds really good. It sounds like something we can use. From my understanding, we already have this. It's called the state police. It's called law enforcement. And the reason I bring up this bill is, and I was thinking about this the other day when Governor Spamberger was talking about the cost of energy in Virginia now. And she created a new position for that. I would love a job where I don't actually do anything and I just create positions that spend more money.
Yeah.
We have too much gun violence, yes. This prevention center is going to do nothing but spend money.
That's it.
And create positions that aren't needed.
Yeah, I mean it's got a physical impact relatively low, $1,800 in 2027. I'm assuming that means it's got a extended start date of December 15th of 2026. So, but still, it's a no teeth piece of legislation.
Yeah,
that's just a waste of everybody's time because, like you said, it's called law enforcement.
Yeah,
but the left hates law enforcement, so they want to create groups to go around law enforcement.
Yeah, why can't we just, the people who we already paid to do their jobs, why can't they just do their jobs?
Yeah.
Why do we have to always create something? This is how we got to the massive bureaucracy that we have. Just do it. Are they not elected to go and do these things?
Yeah.
And in this case, law enforcement already has all the stats. They already have, and we have a state police force. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. And it spend whatever they already have.
Yep.
We don't have to keep adding. This is why people's taxes are going up. Not to be fair, not specifically this bill.
Right.
But these kinds of things.
Well, the Secretary of the Commonwealth, she gets to appoint one person or act as representative. So they got to do something to justify Candy Muldoon King's position.
Yeah, we just keep creating stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, the energy bills are too high. We better get somebody on that. Yeah, no, you do it. You're the governor.
Yeah.
That's what you were elected to do. It's not that difficult.
Energy bills are so high. Why did you put us back into Reggie?
Yeah, that's why they're so high. It's not.
Hello?
It's not that hard to figure out.
No.
Simple data will tell you why the energy bills are high.
Yeah. That's why we should not have. I took some heat some time ago because I started talking about term limits.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we need those.
That's why. Will, I'm convinced that the longer people are in politics, the dumber they get. And I don't mean that pejoratively. I really do mean that. I really do think that the longer people are in politics, the less likely they are to be able to think correctly.
Yeah. So here's my theory is at the federal level, you should get 2 runs at the House. I'm okay with that because those are 2-year terms. And you get 1 at the Senate. That's it. You get 1.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
Well, I wish we'd go back to what the Constitution says, that the Congress appoints Senate. I mean, electing a senator is not even in the Constitution. I don't know where we went off track there. Sort of like what I'm trying to do with this this broadcast, but we've gone from guns to term limits. That's another show.
Yeah. Well, so to your point, though, let's look at this fantastic piece of legislation, House Bill 1525. Patrons are McGuire, Clark, Cohen, Cole, and Seabold, I think is how you say his name. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. This is probably the most confusing thing I've ever heard. So I'll do the quick rundown. It is unlawful for any person younger than 21 years of age knowingly and intentionally purchase, possess, or transport a handgun or assault firearm anywhere in the Commonwealth. For the record, I'm fine with that. You have to be 21 to buy tobacco products and alcohol and I don't know what else, but that's fine. And then the bill will go on to explain what a handgun is. But now let's jump down to where it gets confusing. This shall not apply to any person who, while accompanied by an adult, at a lawful shooting range or firearms educational class. Sounds good. Except in Virginia, the age of an adult is 18 years old.
Yep.
So now we find ourselves in a confusing quandary.
Just so our viewers know, that's code 1-204 of the Code of Virginia. It defines what an adult is.
So you have to be 21 to purchase, possess, or transport. Okay. But if I'm at I should have done the other one too. So there's the shooting range, or if you're actually engaged in lawful hunting, you can also be accompanied by an adult. So you have to be 21 to transport it by yourself, or over 21, or purchase. Except for these two exceptions, you can be with an adult, which is 18.
Does that mean a 21-year-old has to drop us off?
Apparently.
Wait here. We're going to go in the woods for 6 hours. Just wait here for us so that you can legally transport us back home with our hunting rifles.
We're not a serious people anymore.
No.
No.
And what we're talking about off air, the people I somewhat blame for this are the lawyers at the Division of Legislative Services on the 4th floor of the General Assembly building, because they're the ones that write this baloney. And it's completely, how in the world can one of the lawyers who've never practiced law, Will, and we talked, I got socks older than some of them. So they've never practiced law. Do they have a law degree? Maybe. Or they just know how to read. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they actually have a law degree. But they're obviously not comparing what they're writing to what the actual code or the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia actually says. Because this is case point.
I tried to explain this to my 11-year-old last night because my wife and we were sitting out on the deck last night and they were asking me what we were going to talk about today. And I said, well, this appears to be pretty popular, so we're going to cover some more of it. And I tried to explain this one. And my wife just shook her head and walked off. And my son tried to legitimately understand, but I mean, I couldn't even really explain it. Why?
Yeah.
Someone younger than someone else is the one who is needed to transport.
I try to explain this to my wife. She looks at me, she says, you know why I hate politics.
That's what I get to. This isn't that difficult.
No. Any person while accompanied by an adult who's 18 does not apply, this bill does not apply to them. But you have to be 21 to transport a gun. And it says handgun or assault firearm. Now, here's the loophole. Handgun or assault firearm is not a hunting weapon. So the loophole that you could probably get into this is that, well, the law says handgun or assault firearm. Well, assault firearm is anything that holds more than 20 rounds of ammunition. A hunting rifle doesn't hold more than 20 rounds of ammunition. It holds, 5 or 6?
Yeah, that's
so. But the problem, Will, is they don't spell that out here.
No, it's just confusing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you enforce this.
Yeah, you can't. And okay, could somebody could two people that are 18 years of age who are walking in the woods to go hunting with a hunting rifle, be arrested for a violation of this law and be charged with a Class 1 misdemeanor, which, by the way, is 12 months in jail or a $250 fine. Or maybe this is the Class 4, which is still a...
No, this one's Class 1.
Is it Class 1?
The other one's
storage
one that we're going to do next.
That's Class 4. Okay. If this was law and I had 2 boys living at home who were under 21, I'd be afraid to let them in the woods. I'd be afraid to let them get in their car. What about transporting it? Well, we're just going hunting. We're lawful hunting, but yet you're under 21 and you're transporting the gun. But yet the one kid is 18 and is an adult by law.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing.
That's the problem with the policies of the left. Not only are they so much of it constitutional violations, but they leave so many rooms for interpretation, so many holes. And what it does is it opens the door for these things to fail in court when they do go to court, but then it's cost taxpayers money.
Yeah, this is definitely going to go to court. It's too confusing. Somebody's going to... Yeah, but it's not... And that's my whole thing with the government in general. They don't think it's taxpayers' money.
No.
They don't care. Or I don't know if they don't know that it is or not, but they don't care.
Right.
They will do what they're going to do, and they don't care what it costs in court.
Yep.
But someone pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Yeah. And even now, help me walk through this, Will. Even number 5 and 6. Any cadet who is participating in training, competitive, or ceremonial activities as a member of the Corps of Cadets or Reserve Training Officer Corps at a public institution of higher education, and any active duty law enforcement officers. I doubt very seriously you've got an active duty law enforcement officer that's 21 years of age or younger. But this bill doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, I don't know. So I went to VMI, so it's a little bit different when I was in college. But like regular colleges have ROTC programs.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at VMI, we qualified shooting. Again, a little bit different because that's what we did. But I'm sure that ROTC at regular colleges have to qualify on weapons.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same amount of weapons that like I did, but
it almost is like it's a training thing for them. Okay, I'll buy it. I don't think it's probably not a good idea for somebody to have a weapon that hadn't been trained to use it. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not.
So, why all the regulations? And by the way, McGuire was a student of Tech when that massacre happened so many years ago. And so that has been every time he patrons a bill, every time he gets up and talks about a gun bill, the first thing out of his mouth was, well, I was at Virginia Tech when that mass shooting happened. Okay, were you in class that day? I mean, it's questions you have to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, you were enrolled at Tech. Were you in class that day? Were you one of the ones that was hiding? But that's his platform of all this anti-gun rhetoric. But what they don't get, Will, is this isn't going to stop crime.
No, it's not going to stop. It's like we talked about last week, right? What is the rot of society? What were the core issues? But even one of the main arguments you hear about gun control from the, I don't know what you call it, anti-gun, I guess. People, the founding fathers didn't have these weapons in 1776. Well, that's fair. It's a fair argument. The problem with the argument, though, and the problem with bills like this, and this is why, for the love of Peter, if we could just get back to the Constitution and just follow the Constitution, if you don't agree with it, that's fine. There are provisions that you can attempt to make changes.
Yeah.
Now, will they be successful or not? That's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But the founding fathers were not so short-sighted to think they knew everything.
Right.
That's the genius of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. That's the genius of the Bill of Rights that they added.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with elections. Like people will, obviously Trump is a big lightning rod, but people have always said, depending on who the president, well, that's not my president. No, it is. You get to make another choice in 4 years.
Yep.
You get to vote again in 4 years. You don't get to say that.
Yep.
I will concede that Trump is more of a lightning rod than probably most presidents.
Sure.
But that's not a new sentiment, though.
Well, no,
this person is not my president.
No, that's silly. And okay, let's be real. Was Joe Biden a lightning rod for some issues?
Yeah.
Was Barack Obama a lightning rod for some issues?
Yeah.
Let's go back. Was Jimmy Carter a lightning rod for some issues? Yeah. When Jimmy Carter was president, now you and I were infants.
That didn't go well.
I mean, what was the interest rate when he left office? 20-some%.
Reagan had to fix all that.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, all these guys have been lightning rods, but the problem is Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution literally says that this Constitution of the United States shall be made pursuant thereof, which means it's the supreme law of the land.
Yeah.
It trumps everything. And it actually goes on to say, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. Okay, what's that mean in plain language? The judges have to follow the United States Constitution, and no state can make a law that violates the United States Constitution. And all these laws violate Amendment, Bill of Rights number 2, Second Amendment.
And that's ultimately, again, I don't necessarily have a problem with you have to be 21 to purchase a firearm.
You have to be 21 to be a police officer.
I think
I have no problem with that.
But write the bill correctly.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't infringe on Second Amendment rights. You have to have, and this is the problem overall, and it's really breaking off in Virginia. You have to have a standard of culture or of a society. You can't have 17 different rules trying to be the rule.
Correct.
It doesn't work.
No.
That's why we have a constitution.
Yeah.
To give us guidance and a baseline of these are the things you can't infringe upon. I'll give you a good example of one I don't agree with at all. When it comes to freedom of speech, because I've had friends that didn't come home from Afghanistan, it really upsets me when people disrespect the flag.
Yeah.
It really upsets me. I don't, but that's your right. It's freedom of speech.
Yep.
I don't agree with it. I think you should respect the flag because people have died for it, but that's my opinion. The Constitution, however, says that you have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
We have this, we can do this because we have freedom of speech. If we lived in China, there's no way we could do this.
No.
Well, I guess we could. We'd be in trouble though. It'd be one episode and you never hear from us.
No, you wouldn't hear the episode. You wouldn't find where'd Will Michael go?
It's the same thing with the gun laws. Like, this is the rights that we have in this country. You don't get to pick and choose. And whose standard are we picking and choosing against?
Right.
It's the same thing when you take God out of the question. God has laid down, these are the standards. This is what is righteous. This is what is unrighteous. This is what it is. It's not mine. I didn't come up with it. God did.
Right.
And when you remove a standard and whether people want to admit it or not, that's up to you, up to people. But the majority of the Western world is based on Christian values.
Right.
It just is.
Right.
You can disagree with me, or not you, but people can disagree with me all they want.
Oh, we got all the quotes from the founding fathers
Yeah.
to justify anything that we say like that.
It's just true.
Yeah.
Now we've taken God out of the government. We've taken God out of the public square. You and I talk offline all the time about different stuff we run into, and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying. A power vacuum needs to be filled.
There's an interesting case, and this doesn't really relate to guns, but it does relate to constitutional jurisdiction. 1903, there was a case, Marbury versus Madison. And this is when I was in law school. I am in law school. That was one of the first classes I took on constitutional law. We discussed this case. And what happened is at the end of his presidency, John Adams appointed his last night of president, he appointed what they called in history midnight judges. One of those judges was a man by the name of William Marbury. Now, Adams had just been defeated by Jefferson. The next day, now the Secretary of State under Adams was John Marshall. Okay? And John Marshall was the one that signed all these midnight judges commissions. But back in those days, you didn't have email, of course. You had to hand deliver all these commissions. Well, when Thomas Jefferson took office, his Secretary of State was James Madison, and he refused to deliver Marbury's commission. And Marbury sued. And he sued asking the Supreme Court to give a writ of mandamus ordering Madison to deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Guess who the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court was? John Marshall, who had been Adams' Secretary of State. At the same time, he was Chief Justice. So what did Marbury do? Marbury blew past every court and went right to the Supreme Court because he thought, Marshall was Adams' Secretary of State, that he would give him a favorable ruling.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that actually signed the commission. Well, it went to the Supreme Court, and the Chief Justice had this ruling. Okay, he asked himself several questions. Was Marbury entitled to the commission? The answer was yes. He was appointed by the then sitting president, so he had every right to the commission, every right to be a judge. And I say to John Marshall, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely correct in that. So, the second question was, does the Supreme Court, in and of itself, have the power to force Jefferson to deliver the commission? The answer was yes. Third question, did Marbury have the jurisdiction, or no, does the Supreme Court have the jurisdiction in the case?
Right.
The answer was no. So Marbury lost the ruling, not because of standing, not even because the Supreme Court lacked the power, but the Supreme Court lacked the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And the reasoning, if you go throughout the whole case, John Marshall's mind or reasoning was phenomenal. His reasoning was, okay, yes, we can make Jefferson do this. You have the constitutional right because a sitting president made the commission while he was president. We have the power of the Supreme Court to tell Jefferson, the now president, that he can't refuse, that his Secretary of State, James Madison, can't refuse to deliver this because a previous sitting president has now done it. But, Marbury, your problem is the Supreme Court didn't have jurisdiction to hear this case because we've got a hierarchy. You skipped the lower court, you skipped the appellate court, and you went straight to the Supreme Court because you thought you'd automatically get a favorable decision because I, as the Chief Justice, signed the commission. What's the point? The point is that these laws don't have standing.
Yeah.
With the law, these bills rather, do not have standing. Just like Marbury, just like the Supreme Court in that case didn't have standing, these bills don't have standing because they violate the Constitution. And Marbury's efforts violated the Constitution, so even though the courts had the power, they couldn't exercise the power because they didn't have the jurisdiction to do it, just like these bills don't have jurisdiction because they usurp the Constitution. I hope everybody understands my gibberish on that. I just found that case fascinating when I was first enrolled in law school.
Well, it's fascinating, too, because it's like what we talk about all the time, and even with these bills, there's an integrity to Justice Marshall because he said we don't have jurisdiction to even hear the case, even though you're correct.
Yeah, even though he's the one that signed the cotton picking commission. He says, no, I'm sorry, guy. I mean, you should have gone. Yeah, had he gone to the lower courts and gone through the process, would he have gotten what he wanted? Probably.
Probably.
Even if the other two courts had said no, he then could have appealed up, and Marshall would have given him his writ of mandamus to have that commission delivered.
So let's look at the fire. You want to do the storage one?
We can do that.
All right. It's HB 871, storage of firearms in a residence where a minor or person prohibited from possessing a firearm is present. Essentially, you have to keep it locked in a locked container. This is the one that had the biometrics on it, didn't it? They take that part out, I guess.
What's the bill number again?
871.
Let me see what so many there was. This is another thing that drives you wild with every firearm bill that we've looked at. Every one of them went to conference. Now our viewers may not know what that means. When a bill comes to the House, the House votes on it. Well, it goes to subcommittee, goes to committee, moves along the chains, and it comes to the House floor for a vote. The House approves it by simple majority. It then goes to the Senate for the Senate's consideration. Well, the Senate has every right to make any changes they want or strike it. I've seen the Senate strike a bill that passed the House, but it didn't. Okay, I've seen a bill make it through the House because if you sit in the General Assembly any length of time, you find out that a lot of people in the House are a whole lot more radical than the people in the Senate. The problem is people that are in the House with all these vacancies that came up in the Senate with Abigail Spanberger appointed all these senators to her cabinet. You have people coming over from the House and bringing their radical views over. By and large, so many more people in the House are so much more radical than they are in the Senate. So I've seen bills make it through the House and not make it through subcommittee in the Senate. But another thing the Senate can do is the Senate can come through and they can say, okay, we like the overall message that the bill is giving, but we want to make a little tweaks. They did that with a lot of Helmer's bills. Well, they did one of McGuire's bills. They changed 10-round magazine, which considered an assault rifle, to 20.
Yeah.
But Helmer, they did 10 to 15. I'm not quite sure what the difference. I don't know the rationale of the differences of the capacities, but that's what they did. So when it comes to the Senate, and they say, okay, we like the overall message of the bill, but let's tweak it here and let's change it. Then that goes back to the House. The House can then say, we accept it or we insist on our version. At that moment, when they can come to a consensus, it goes to conference. And that's where they appoint 3 from the House and 3 from the Senate to get together. And this is so professional. The conference sessions are so professional. They could be under an oak tree outside Capitol Square. The 6 of them meet under, literally, the 6 of them, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. The 6 of them meet under an oak tree outside of the Capitol or walk into their car at night, and that's conference. I'm not kidding. That's what conference is. No one is allowed to attend the conference but the 6 people because you don't know when it's going to be. Because it could be, I guess it could be around the water cooler for all that, or the sink in the bathroom, as long as you get all 6 of them together. And that's conference. And then they come to an accord. Supposedly. And then, of course, there's always one heavy for whoever's the majority.
Yeah.
So there's not a tie. And usually what happens on all of these every one of these gun bills that we've looked at so far, all of them went to conference. Because even the Democrats can't agree. And so all of these bills went to conference. And this is one of them. And so I need to look to see if they took.
I know at one point they had, I think they took it out because, man, was it a misstep. They tried to say biometric safes were safer because it didn't require a key. It required, your fingerprint, which is true, except for safety reasons, they all have a key.
Yeah.
You can't not have a key.
Yeah.
So that's incorrect. So this one is for locked containers. It's a class 4 misdemeanor on this one. There comes a point too with bills like this, and I know people are. I know the gun stuff is a touchy subject on all sides, but there is a such thing as government overreach in terms of what you're allowed to do as a sovereign citizen of America, and how far. Where is the line that is too far? And we are approaching that line. What happens? you have rights. You have certain inalienable rights. People have to have a warrant to come into your house. You can't just. People don't just have to come into your house. How you decide to possess your firearm inside your own home, from my point of view, is your business. Me personally, it's not where my kid can get it because he's 11.
They did change the final passage that was approved by the General Assembly. Did keep the biometric lock, but it added combination lock or coded lock.
Oh, okay.
So it did add those two. Doesn't talk about a key, but it does talk about a combination lock, and that's not a key lock or a coded lock. Now,
I just pulled up the.
And one of the reasons that they added those two is because one of the objections that I brought up in committee was, well, what about if I'm in the middle if my home is in the middle of being invaded and I have to get to that gun quickly? What happens if I've got some type of residue on my hand and my biometric can't read my fingerprint? That's possible. And so then they added the combination lock and coded lock. Which, I mean, if your house is being invaded, it can't be an 18-digit combination lock.
So I don't know. And this is where, like, we talked about it in the episode we did on the justice stuff. What are we doing? When you said it best, what is the point when you combine all of these different things? So they just arrested someone else who wasn't supposed to be in the country for murdering someone in Fairfax County. That literally just happened yesterday. I don't have all the details, but it just happened yesterday. Same thing with the transporting. You can't transport a weapon. What was it, a month ago on 495? A dude went nuts after a fender bender and murdered 3 women, by the way. Again, this is all affecting women. And so now you have to keep your firearm locked in your home. Okay, then are the police going to prosecute when my home is invaded? Who's helping me at this point?
Right.
If something goes wrong, it's like, what are we doing all together? Where are the protections then for everyday citizens? Because it's apparently not law enforcement.
No.
As much, and that's not disrespect to law enforcement. I should say prosecutors, let me amend what I said. Not law enforcement, but the actual prosecution of these crimes. Because they are being arrested. So I amend that.
Well, the thing about it is, Will, 18.2-56.2 of the Virginia Code already does not require locked storages for guns. But it says, again, 18.1-56.2 says that's Class 1 misdemeanor if you recklessly leave an unloaded gun unsecured. If you leave a loaded gun unsecured, it's a Class 1 misdemeanor in a manner that endangers a child under 14. Now, this bill by Downey, who's, by the way, a pediatrician, doesn't mention, if I remember correctly, I go back and read it, I don't think mentions anything about age.
No.
Unless they reference, minor means anyone younger than 18. Okay.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Or person prohibited from possessing a firearm.
Yeah. So anybody under 21.
So, actually, it is anyone under 21.
I mean, because if I carry it from my bedroom to the living room to protect my family, is that transporting?
I would assume so.
Now, the previous law said that if I'm in my home with permission or with my family, with my legal parents, then I can handle the gun inside my home. But Will, how old is your son?
11.
Okay, you wouldn't leave him at home by himself. But let's just say it's
not safe to anymore.
Well, let's just say he's 16,
yeah.
and you and your wife go out, and he's home by himself, and somebody breaks in. He's got a decision to make. Do I protect myself? Now, you've taught your son how to. If you haven't already, by the time your son is 16, he's going to know how to use a firearm. That's just the way you are.
Yeah.
Military guy. That's just the way you are. So he's got a decision to make. Do I defend myself? And here's the silliness of these bills. Do I defend myself? I'm 16 years old, 16 years of age. Legally, if all this stuff passes, legally, I'm not able to handle a firearm because my mom and dad aren't home to give me permission because the law says they have to be at home.
Yeah.
So do I defend myself against this guy trying to break into my home? Do I let him come in and do whatever he wants to do to me or the house?
Yeah.
Or do I run the risk of defending myself and sending mom and dad to jail? Because I had the combination to the safe. You see, well, that is what's so silly. We want to leave our 16, 17-year-old daughters. My daughter-in-laws know how to handle weapons.
Yeah.
Even before, my fourth daughter-in-law, she's from Central Tennessee. She probably knew how to handle a gun before she could speak. You mean to tell me that when she was 17 years, if she had been living in Virginia and this was the law, you mean to tell me that my 17-year-old daughter, who's home by herself, can't defend herself for risk of her mom and dad going to jail because she had the combination to the biometric or the combination to the safe, and the code of Virginia says she's not allowed to have one? This is silly. Well, so she has a decision to make. Do I die, or do I run the risk of mom and dad going to jail by defending myself?
And I just had this thought. I never really thought about it like this until you were explaining all that. You know, when we're talking about gun control and reducing gun violence, I know what firearms can do. Mm-hmm. My son knows what firearms can do. They're to be respected, but we are not teaching. These kids play Fortnite and they play Call of Duty. And look, I'm not trying to say that violent video games cause mass shootings, but it does desensitize you to what an actual firearm does. And until you hold one and fire it, you don't really know. And you may know the specs and all that stuff because of the video games. And now I'm going to sound like a really old person. But it does desensitize you from that kind of thing. There's a reason why when these kids get groomed, they're showed these really horrific mass shooting videos because it desensitizes them to it. So when they're talking about gun control, then why are we not having training? Look, this is what a gun actually does. You know what? When I was a kid, now that I think of this, when I was in elementary school, and I've never forgotten this to this day, we had a law enforcement officer come to our elementary school with a dog, with a police dog, like the real ones. And he showed us what that dog could do. I realized that day there is no crime worth committing where that dog might come after me, because that thing was scary.
Yeah.
And it was by scary, I mean it was well behaved, and it did exactly what that law enforcement officer told him to do. And when he let it loose and he had the suit on and everything, oh my gosh, I knew that day. Nope. When I did chem warfare training, and we had to get gassed. And I got gassed, and when I got done with it all, I said, I will not protest something if I know tear gas. No, I have learned my lesson. Granted, that was in a different situation than like, out in the open and everything, but it was awful. But I learned to respect weapons because I was trained to do that. And I'm not saying you have to go to the military, but people, you can teach your kids, you can teach like your daughter from Tennessee, you can learn these things so that when these kids, because here's the truth, is what are you going to do? You're going to get all the illegal guns off the streets?
Right. No.
We're not even arresting people. We're not even prosecuting people. So what are we going to do?
No, and the ones we're trying to get rid of the mandatory minimums.
Yeah, then we're getting
then restore their rights to vote when they get out of prison immediately.
So why doesn't the government, again, to go back to the crime prevention thing that apparently we're going to start, gun violence prevention? Why are these kids not taught? Exactly. This is serious business.
Yeah. Going back to Cia Price's bill, like you were just referring to, the greatest crime prevention is put them in prison for the maximum that the statute allows. Let them learn their lesson.
Yeah.
Instead of getting rid of their mandatory minimums. And, for example, armed robbery in the Commonwealth of Virginia right now is no less than 1 year, no more than 3 for the first offense. Okay? But their Ray Cousins pushes from the city of Richmond in HB 869. This is coming back next year because they tabled it until next year. But we've already been told it's coming back next year, is to get rid of mandatory minimums for a whole slew of crimes that I can name for you. One of them is armed robbery.
Yeah. So
what a progressive judge could do is, okay, if there's no mandatory minimum, right now the judge would have to say, okay, I have to send you to jail for a year.
Yeah.
You're going to jail for 12 months. Now, that may be all that he gives him for a first offense. Well, he's within the bounds of the law to do that. But at the same time, you can't send him to prison for 3.5 years.
Right.
But what this progressive judge can do if his mandatory minimums are gotten rid of, it says, okay, well, I sentence you not more. He could say not less than 1, not more than 3. So I sentence you to 2 years in jail, 24 months in jail, but I'm going to suspend 19 months of it. So you go to jail for 5 months for a first offense of armed robbery because they got rid of mandatory minimums. A progressive judge could do that. So what's that person learned about armed robbery? Was it worth it? Yeah.
Yeah.
For 5 months, I'll go to jail for 5 months if I can come out of jail and I can go find, So until there are real penalties for crime, it's like you were just talking about, people that have all these charges against them walk around the street and are still committing crimes because prosecutors won't prosecute, and therefore police say, let's be real, Will, so many police officers, especially in Northern Virginia, I dare say, probably have the mentality, why waste my energy? Because the Commonwealth attorney is going to put them right back out on the road. So why am I going to endanger my life and maybe not go home to my family to arrest a dangerous criminal who I know is going to be back on the street within 48 hours because the prosecutor won't prosecute them?
Well, there's emails. We know that's happening. It's mind-boggling. And this is where people really need to wake up and start paying attention to what is going on around them. And people, particularly people that voted for Spamberger, you should be really upset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the towing the line thing. Like, I'll just be honest, I voted for Trump. Well, you know what? I'm really upset because he's going to give money to Planned Parenthood. He said he didn't have a choice. He does, though. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that. I didn't agree with everything Youngkin did.
Right.
You can vote for someone but still be critical of their performance.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the whole, like, and to be fair to both sides, I don't understand it from the Trump side. Mm-hmm. That people will just blindly follow no matter what. No, not no matter what. He said there's 2 major things with Trump that I'll just be honest with you that upset me. One, he said he was going to take down the Department of Education. Still hasn't happened yet. Hasn't even begun. The only way to fix the education system in this country is, frankly, to start over.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken. And the Planned Parenthood thing. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, well, even in the one big beautiful bill, by the time it got passed, it went from a defund for 10 years to a defund for 1 year.
Yeah.
So we're coming right up on the expiration date of that 1 year.
Yeah. And so I can still hope he does a good job, though.
Yeah.
I can hope that he. So I don't understand from. I would say there's more Republicans critical of Trump than there are Democrats critical of their leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. Problem is, Will, is that going back to what you were saying about he said that he had to. Planned Parenthood is private.
Yeah, I know.
It has no right to federal funding.
No.
So don't look in the camera and say, "Well, I have to." No, sir. No. No, you don't.
You don't.
You're doing that because you've become unpopular.
Yes.
And you're hoping that that's going to give you you're going to give your guys in November some more votes. Let's be real. But be honest.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Stick by your principles. That's why I tell legislators who vote the wrong way. Stick by your principles. You will be in that seat as long as God wants you there. Nobody's going to kick you out until God's done with you.
Yeah.
So vote the Bible.
Yeah, vote your, and that's why when we look at specifically, I always have a hard time with that word, Virginia, she won pretty handedly.
Yeah. She won within 20 minutes of the polls being closed.
I don't remember the count exactly, but why are Democrats not upset? Is this what you really wanted? Right. You wanted higher taxes? You wanted your energy bills to go up? I couldn't imagine. I had the same problem with Democrats when it came to Kamala Harris running. I don't care that she ran. It's the way she ran. Mm-hmm. They took Biden out. They didn't follow their own procedures, and they put somebody in place that didn't even participate in the primaries. Right. There are procedures within the process for an emergency primary. Mm-hmm. They could have done that. Mm-hmm. They could have even done it on streamed it. It could have happened. Mm-hmm. Absolutely could have happened. But they didn't do that.
And they put somebody in the spot that absolutely could not win.
Oh, well, yeah. Like
Mickey Mouse could have beat Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Obviously, she wasn't a good candidate. But
so it makes you wonder, what is their sinister thinking in allowing Trump to win the election? Because it's not like they put one in the Democrat side that really had a chance.
My theory is they just punted it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to win anyway. And I think they saw that. And I think they just punted it until they can figure out a better plan.
They'll sacrifice 2 years to get the power. Because let's be real.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the sitting president, that party doesn't win the midterms.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what they're counting on.
Yeah.
That very well may be what happens.
Yeah, that probably is. I know it's not trending super well. I think what they were doing is punting and seeing what they could accomplish at the state level, because people are fed up with on a federal level, because more people vote on the federal level. So I think what they're doing is testing and seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah.
And the states at the state level is a good area to do that, because not that many people pay attention.
Right.
And you can see it, and I think this because of what is happening in Virginia. Mm-hmm. It is crazy what they're putting forth. 750 bills are sitting on her desk. Yeah. Are you serious?
And I don't know if we finished this while we were off camera or not, but Article 5, Section 6 of the Code of Virginia says that if she doesn't take action, they automatically become law.
Yeah. So
will she try to maintain her veneer of moderacy by not taking any action on these things and say, well, you know what, I didn't sign them? But then I would say to the governor, I would say, Madam Governor, the buck still stopped. I was in a church down at Edmonton Sunday night, and I explained this to the church. The buck still stopped with you because you had the ability to veto, mm-hmm. you had the ability to amend, or you had the ability just to sign it. Okay. There's not enough people in either the House or the Senate to override your veto. Now, they may not accept your amendment like they did some of Governor Youngkin's. Right. They may not accept your amendment, therefore the bill just dies. But don't try to claim Article 5, Section 6 and try to claim, well, you know what, the General Assembly passed it, not me. No, ma'am. it came to your desk, other than these constitutional amendments. They don't constitutionally, you don't have any say in those. But all these bills came to your desk, and you had three options. You decided not to take three. You decided to go in and let them slide on in to become law. No, you can't then sit back and say and claim, well, it wasn't me, it was a General Assembly.
I think for a lot of the 750, that's what she'll try to do. But I mean, who am I? I'm not much of anybody, but in my humble opinion, I don't.
Well, no,
I think she's governor of Virginia, and I don't think she goes past this. She can't win at a federal level.
No. She would. I don't think that she has a fighting chance of winning a Democrat primary.
No.
At least now. But we'll find out what she does in 21 days because we reconvene on the 22nd of April.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she recalibrates because the national press on Virginia is not going well.
Well, I had a pastor friend of mine who was in Canada 2 weeks ago preaching in northern Canada. And the pastor of that church in northern Canada looked at him and said, what is going on in Virginia? So, I mean, we're making the news in northern Canada.
So I have a meeting, and I'll probably it's just the first meeting with some people outside of the state that do national stuff, and they called me yesterday, and they were so excited to talk to me because of what is going on in Virginia, and they were so happy that somebody reached out to them to try to get some help because it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where people like pastors have got to wake up to what is going on and get past this whole like we don't talk about politics thing is bananas.
Yeah.
We're talking about gun control laws now, and that's fine. You and I will do it. And I get that not every pastor is going to talk about gun control laws, but you're talking about the most radical abortion amendment in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exaggerating. If you don't believe me, just go look it up. And we're going to do another one on that. I'm going to see if Students from Life wants to join us.
Yeah.
In the world, the most radical. Nobody's doing it.
Right.
But we're going to.
Yeah.
Maybe, if it passes.
The resolution, the Commonwealth shall not hold responsible any person assisting in the abortion.
Yeah.
Now, you know what that means? Let's think about this. Not to get off topic, but the Commonwealth will not prosecute any person assisting in the abortion. What is the long-range meaning of that? Now, everybody wants to go, okay, well, that means a midwife can perform an abortion. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But you know what it also means?
Traffickers.
It also means traffickers. It also means that a boyfriend or a husband who doesn't want that child can slip in his wife's drink the chemical abortion pill, and he won't be prosecuted for causing that young lady to go to an abortion. And what if she dies? Because she hemorrhages to death, which has happened.
Mm-hmm.
The woman in Texas, who everybody wants to claim women are dying because they don't have access to abortion. No, the woman in Texas died because she had taken the chemical abortion pill and she hemorrhaged because they didn't get all the afterbirth out.
Yeah.
So that was on them. That was not on the fact that she couldn't get an abortion. So the Commonwealth will not prosecute anyone who assists in an abortion. That boyfriend or that husband who doesn't want that child can slip his wife's drink into his wife's drink an chemical abortion pill. She goes into labor because that's what the chemical abortion pill causes. It literally burns the child, forces, because it's a two-step pill. And the problem is, Mr. Pristone is supposed to be the second day, Zolotech is supposed to be the second day, but you're going to take them, the husband's going to slip both of them in at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's going to burn the child, force that woman into labor, and what if she hemorrhages and dies? Is the amendment going to hold him faultless for her death? The language would, because he assisted in the abortion. I'm sorry she died, but I was just helping her.
Yeah.
And now, amazingly, Will, she's not around to say, I didn't want an abortion.
Yeah. I talked to I was at an event a couple of weeks ago speaking, and I talked to a doctor afterwards, and he was just beside himself that you can get these pills sent to your home.
Yes.
These are incredibly dangerous pills. Please don't listen to what the propaganda says, that you just take these pills and everything's fine.
Right.
It's not what happens at all. And I've talked to doctors, and it's not healthcare.
No.
It's crazy. You look at the gerrymandering thing, they're up to $20 million spent now. I checked it I think I checked it yesterday or the day before. The Democrats are up to $20 million spending. So here's my point of the whole thing is, if it's so fair, why does it cost $20 million?
Right.
Explain that one.
And they only budgeted $5.
Yeah, we already did this episode. $20 million they're up to now.
And what would happen to you and me if we went $15 million over budget on a project?
Oh my gosh! Well, I don't even have. In case you hadn't realized, this is on a shoestring budget to begin with. $20 million for fairness. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, can we just be, and this is like our point overall, really, is where is the integrity of people? Just tell the truth.
Right.
I remember one time in Fairfax County Public Schools when my kid was going there, and it wasn't at my kid's school. They had somebody was there who was at a school that wasn't supposed to be there. They didn't get background checked, and they took some pictures of kids that shouldn't have been taken.
Mm.
And so they sent an email to all the parents. There was no apology in there. No, how are we going to fix this so it doesn't happen again? No honesty whatsoever. Just blanket, this is what happened. Don't contact us.
We don't want to have to answer any questions about it. We want to set the narrative.
No, and people don't. I had a parent talking to me not that long ago, just couldn't believe the things that are going on in our Commonwealth because they didn't know. And it's just, you have to, particularly church leaders, where is everybody at?
Well, I was with a pastor on Saturday at a big rally down in Smith Mountain Lake, and he said that he had talked to a pastor friend of his about the redistricting amendment, and his pastor friend told him, well, this is a pastor. He said, I am very glad you told me about this because I was going to vote yes, because it's to restore fairness. It's just, how many people are going to vote yes because they're ignorant? Because they see the language that says restore fairness. So if I vote no, I'm not for fairness. That's why our Constitution says, or our code, 30-19.10 is that all explanations are supposed to be neutral. And because you sway people who haven't really done their due diligence, you sway them by the non-neutral language. And the abortion amendment, the language is not correct because all it mentions is nurses and doctors.
Yeah.
But that's not what's actually going to happen because that's not what the resolution says.
No, it's really like, this is where like I wish some more people, even Christians, would pay more attention, because I was speaking with some people not that long ago, and they were telling me how excited they were that Planned Parenthoods were closing in Virginia. And I said, yeah, but they're closing because you can get it sent to your home now. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with some sort of victory.
Right.
It's worse, actually.
Right. It's a supply and demand. We don't need you.
Yeah, it's all it is. It's economics.
From somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah, you can get it over the internet now. It's just basic economics. Mm-hmm. Like, stores closed because Amazon popped up, and now you can get. It's the same thing.
Right.
Now you just get it sent to your house, and it's, yeah.
And I just flush the baby down the toilet, which is basically what happens.
Oh my gosh, you have to talk to Students for Life, because we did Christ and Culture Night with them, and very rarely do I not want to talk about something. I had no idea, but their Students for Life is, I'm pretty sure, I don't know all the details of it, so I don't know how many states, but throughout a few different states, they're pushing through bills about clean water.
Yeah.
Because there are I don't know how else to say it, parts of babies in our water supply, and there's drugs in our water supplies from the abortion, so many of the abortion pills.
Yeah.
I
have been told that there's no chemical in the reservoirs or the treatment plants that can kill the residuals of that medicine.
And it's there. They've already done the testing. I wanted to quit.
Well, who wants to drink public water?
I wanted to quit everything when she said it from the stage, and somebody in the audience came up to me afterwards and they were like, "You didn't know about that, did you?" And I was like, "No." They were like, "Your face like went white." And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to just go home." This is what happens when the church fails to be strong.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that in our water supply. We have to talk about, dropping minimums, which is going to be on the vote next year. Because our legislatures, I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They're just not, these are people's lives. People live in this state.
Yeah.
People live in this country. And who are we protecting?
Right.
I don't know. Their seats, I suppose.
And the numbers that we had this past session in the legislature, we'll have next session, because the election isn't until November for Virginia. It's not till November of 27, where we'll elect both chambers. But so next session, when all this other radical stuff is coming, we're going to have the exact same legislature that we did this year. The only difference is, and this was good news for the Republicans, for the conservatives, is that Barry Knight passed away during session. He had cancer. He's from Virginia Beach. He really wasn't able to be there any of session, but he actually passed away during session. And we were really, really worried because he was in Virginia Beach. Republican won in Virginia Beach to maintain his seat.
A large one, too.
Yeah. Percent, like 12 or 15%.
Yeah, I mean, that's my prayer, is that they overplayed their hand so much that people will start to pay attention.
I can't wait to see Don Scott have to take a seat with the regular guys.
What I would like to see out of the Virginia Republican Party, which I have not seen yet, and I've talked to people who have run as Republican, a plan.
Yeah.
What is the plan? Because it appears to me we're just running fire to fire. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and that appears to be the plan, is just to keep running from fire to fire.
And which is no plan at all.
No, it's just...
That's reacting instead of acting.
Yeah. And the church has been doing the same thing for a long time. I remember a couple of years ago, Rick and I were talking, I'm on the offensive.
Gotta be.
Not because I necessarily want to be. No one ever believes me, but I'm a pretty introverted person by nature.
Sorry, nobody believes me either when I say it.
But God is always on the offensive. God is always moving. Why are we just standing still and not doing anything? It boggles my mind. Why, pastors will call me and they'll ask questions and stuff, and I'll say, hey, let's go grab a coffee, or like, hey, let's go do this, or you can come over here. We'll go to you. I have offered a few times, like, we can do Christ and culture at your church. I've already talked to my church. We'll gladly come over. No. Nobody ever takes me up on, well, no one has yet. Maybe somebody will someday. That's my prayer. But like Sundays, we can go to our separate churches. That's fine. But why are we not united on these common issues?
Right.
Sanctity of life is not that hard.
No. Shouldn't be hard for a believer.
No. It's not that hard. God said, we give you life.
Yep.
Safety of people, that's not that hard.
No.
I don't want to have to look into somebody's eyes when they come to me and say, something horrible happened to my child. Why weren't you
exactly
saying something? Look what's going on I talked to a superintendent a couple weeks ago. Oh, sorry, he's no longer the superintendent. And he told me he took a big stand and got all the pornography books out of the school. And he just did it by himself. And he was really hurt because not one pastor from the area that he's from stood next to him.
That's incredible. Inexcusable.
And they fired him too.
Yeah.
He did do that though, and he's as he should be, very proud of that, and as he should be. And it just broke my heart when he made sure he told me not one pastor came to my support.
Well, in Louisa County, especially compared to Northern Virginia, Louisa is very conservative as far as the public school goes, and our superintendent is a Christian, and most of our board of education are Christians. But the problem is, Will, you can't stop the system. Even if you're a believer, until the system is changed.
Yeah.
No Christian superintendent is going to be able to keep those books out of their school if the system says you got to have them. And so the system has to change. Dr. Benjamin Rush was the signer of the Declaration of Independence, and he was the founder of the public schools. And he said that the public schools exist for 3 reasons: to teach kids love of family, love of country, and love of God. Mm-hmm. And he said at what time they cease to teach those things, the public schools should cease to exist. Our public schools are teaching the exact opposite of those 3 things today.
Not even close to those
we are graduating socialist Marxists.
Yeah, I had a lunch meeting a couple weeks ago, and I was telling the gentleman, if we think it's difficult now, wait 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
As these kids rotate through public school, and by the way, I don't know if any teenagers watch this, but there comes a certain point where it's on you too.
Mm-hmm.
I had a single parent, not to get into my entire thing, but there came a point in my life where dealing with what happened with my family was no longer, it's partly my fault too. Not my fault in that it happened, but I need to take responsibility for the way that I think and move on, because now I'm of an age where I need to, I'm not a kid, right? And it's the same thing with all this socialist stuff or coming to Christ or whatever it is you believe. There is a point where you can't help it too much. If you're 8 and this is what you're getting taught in school and your parents aren't doing anything about it, that's not really on you.
Right.
You're 8. Mm-hmm. Right? You're 17.
Yeah.
Or especially when you're 18, which we've already determined is the legal
adult.
age of an adult. It's on you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this stuff is out there. You can read the Constitution.
Yep.
You can read the Bible. We have access to so much information, and yet we don't use it in the proper manner.
Right.
So in 5 to 10 years, if we think it's difficult now, I never in my life thought I would see open protests for communism. I had never thought that. We can disagree all day long. That's the beauty of America. I didn't think there'd be people with communist flags.
Burning American flags.
I don't know how you get there.
So what answer is a society without God, Romans 1.
Oh, 100%. We're in Romans 1.
Yeah.
You can see it all day. Romans 1 is exactly where we're at. I did Revelation. I did the whole thing from the pulpit. And then people kept asking me, where do you think we're at in the timeline and all this? I'm like, Romans 1. Now, whether we're close to the tribulation or not, I don't know. That's up to God. It's very clear it's up to him.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely not in there.
Right.
And we're definitely, God has just given us over. John Calvin said, an evil people will get an evil ruler. And I think the church do anything with what God gave us.
We got comfortable. I was praying this morning and praying and writing one of our capital alerts, and thought that came to my mind was the fact that the church is in the state that it's in because the church has no persecution.
Yeah.
I mean, being made fun of at work because you pray in Jesus' name or you pray over your meal, that's not persecution.
No.
That's just somebody being immature. You have somebody torture you, imprison you, put a gun to your head, that could be persecution. Murder you.
Yeah.
What the church needs, somebody asked me sometime, well, what does the church need to be revitalized? The church needs a good old-fashioned persecution. Now, I'm not asking for it because I'm still around. But really, that's what the church needs, is a good old-fashioned persecution. Because why? Because that weeds out those who aren't really believers.
Yeah.
And allows those that are believers to get rid of the chaff, and therefore the wheat can grow.
Well, people get really upset at me when they're like, wow, they'll ask like, well, why don't you think a revival is not breaking out like a real revival? Not necessarily. I mean, I understand the numbers are trending back up, but that's not revival. God doesn't give us one because the church isn't ready.
No.
That's the honest answer.
And people getting baptized on a college university in their fountain pool is not a revival.
No, I mean, I'm glad for them and I'm happy for them, but
if
that's
it's genuine conversion, absolutely.
Yeah, the church is not prepared for a revival.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that because people wanted to. Charlie Kirk, what happened to him? People want to go back to church. Who was ready?
Mm-hmm.
Who's ready to teach the Bible? What Bible studies are people going to where they're studying the actual Bible?
Right.
There's not that many. How many churches are preaching the actual? I talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were telling me about some churches that they wanted me to go talk to, and I was like, okay, well, what kind of churches are there? And they're like, well, they say it's scripture, and then mostly it's personal stories. And I was like, look, I'm not judging anybody. Do what you're going to do, but they're probably not going to want to talk to me. I told the person, I'm just telling you the truth. I don't want you to get frustrated because they say no. I don't want you to get your heart broken. I'm just trying to prepare you because you're fired up.
Mm-hmm.
She heard me speak. She got all fired up. It was awesome to go out there and try to get more churches talking.
Yeah.
And when she told me about this group of churches, I was like, just be careful that you don't get too frustrated because we're not ready. The church itself isn't prepared for revival. It's too much hyper grace.
Yeah.
Churches.
Mm-hmm.
They're not teaching. There are this will be posted before Easter. There's churches that will not put resurrection. They will not say that from the pulpit.
No.
The greatest thing that has ever happened in this entire world, they won't talk about it.
Right.
You can't even have Christianity without the resurrection.
No.
The whole thing falls apart.
Right.
It is the single linchpin to everything, and they won't talk about it.
Apostle Paul says, if Christ be not raised from the dead, your faith is vain.
Yeah. And we wonder why they won't talk about abortion, and they won't.
Right.
It's just, 37% of pastors, I do a whole presentation on biblical worldview. It's only 37% in the entire country that have a biblical worldview.
Pretty sad.
That's it.
Yeah. And we wonder why our society is in the shape that it's in, and why our churches are in the shape that they're in.
Yeah, it's not hard to figure out why.
Not at all.
Any other bills you want to cover? These are getting longer and longer.
Yeah, that's good.
It is good.
I think that's a good one. I think that's a good place to stop for tonight.
Yeah. Find a church this weekend. If you listen to this before Easter, go find a Bible preaching church in your area. There's plenty in Virginia, or if you listen to this outside of Virginia, I'm sorry, but we cover mostly Virginia. But it's good to know. It could come to your state next.
Absolutely.
But man, celebrate the Lord this weekend.
Amen.
Celebrate the walking out of the tomb. The entire passion is just the most unbelievable. You know, we talk about Romans 1, and you know, I always get choked up on this time of the year because he died for our sins.
Yeah.
We didn't deserve that.
No.
We deserve wrath.
Yeah.
And it's not what he does. He goes to the cross. So
Amen.
Spend some time, find a church, and find a church to belong to, by the way. Be part of the body of Christ.
Amen.
Until next week, we'll talk about something. I don't know. We'll do something fun next
How about
week.
something interesting?
Yeah. And thank you everybody who watches and subscribes and all that stuff. We kind of just threw this together, and more people are watching than we thought. So
yeah, it's good.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.